I'm just this guy over here obsessed with trebuchets.
Yeah, you're the trebuchet guy.
You know, for years I called it a trebucket. Hi, I'm Alan.
And I'm Russell.
And this is Popculture Pontification.
The show where we talk about movies and games and live-action role-playing.
Live-action role-playing, yes. The first episode we've had in a little while without a guest.
Is it?
Well, we had...
Did we have Tim before Kerry?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it just feels weird.
Yeah.
It's you and me staring at each other across the microphone.
We keep pausing and looking to the third chair, but
yes.
There's nobody there to pick up the slack.
Maybe there's a ghost there. You don't know. I mean, this is a new house, and nobody's ever died in here. I'm the first person to ever live in this house. But there could be a ghost.
Well, if it's a new house, it doesn't have to have been an Indian burial ground. It could have just been a normal, everyday burial ground. It could be a very recent ghost.
Yep. Could be Steve, the construction worker, who got murdered and buried underneath the pad of the house.
Possibly.
Possibly. But yeah, so we're rolling solo, such as we can with two of us.
Yeah,
rolling
as solo
OG
as you can with
original team OT over here. And I'm padding because, as always, I haven't got a lot to talk about because I haven't got the internet.
Alan Clark, professional host of Popculture podcasts.
Very little exposure to pop culture at the moment, yes. But that's a lie, I suppose. I still have access to it, just at a very slow rate.
Yes.
Because getting internet installed in a house that has no capability of having internet put into it is, especially when you don't own the house, is an exercise in futility.
And then even when you do get internet, if you have accidentally throttled your internet down to nothing.
All right. So the story is, I have been surviving without internet by having these little prepaid mobile 4G dongle things that have been sitting about the place. And you can buy like $50 for like 7 gig or whatever, which is a ridiculous price, but it was the only option. And I was sick of like Steam downloading stuff without asking my permission, because as soon as it connected to like the internet via the Wi-Fi, it'd be like, oh, I can download all these updates for these games that you're not playing. And so I got upset with it. And so I throttled the download speed to like 16 kilobits a second. And then quite recently I found a more permanent solution. And I was like, oh, I'll download some games. I'll download Doom, which is a game I just bought, and now I want to download. And it's currently downloading while we're talking about this at a very slow rate. So I have this, it was like $70 for unlimited data on this similar Wi-Fi dongle thing. And I started downloading this, and I got so angry because I couldn't figure out. I was like, oh, I'm doing like speed tests, and I'm getting like 4 or 5 meg up, which for like people in America is nothing. You know, a drop in the bucket. But over here, it's like, in Australia, it's ridiculously fast.
Yeah.
And I got so angry, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing like speed tests, and it's getting like 5 meg down. Why is Steam downloading something at like 16 kilobits a second? I can't figure it out. It's driving me crazy until I looked up to the top and it said throttled 16 kilobits. And then I felt like quite the fool.
Indeed.
But yes, unthrottled, and I'm downloading the new Doom game, so I'll have that to talk about next week. And that is like 42 gigabytes for that game. And you can't even go by the excuse of the fact that it's got the original games in it. Because they are like a couple of 100 megs. Man, it's a big game. There's bigger games. I suppose that like Fallout 4 was bigger than that. That was like 70 or 80 plus, really? I think. Yeah, gig.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Titanfall, which I was telling you about before, which I got a physical copy of because I didn't want to download the 49 gigabytes of files. Most of that was due to like over 25 gig of just uncompressed audio.
Oh, really?
Files. Which
well,
is not something I really need.
You got to have that high quality 320 bitrate audio. Yeah, that's a human ears. Like once you get above like 192 or 196 bitrate, you can't tell the difference.
Well, I'm sure audio files are snobby about the whole thing, but
are you saying
a robot shooting other robots. I don't care.
Maybe, like, with some pretty sensitive... To the human ears, you'd have to be incredibly sensitive to tell the difference between 196 or 192 or whatever it is and, like, 360 bit rate. It's ridiculous.
Well, you can take it up with my brother sometime, because he will argue the virtues of higher bit rates.
Does it annoy him if he listens to the podcast that I export this at, like, 196?
Oh, I don't think he cares about the quality of our voices when he's listening to music and stuff.
Anyway, I don't think. Like, especially with, like, older music, because it was recorded at, like, fucking God knows what bit rate.
Well,
bit rates didn't exist back in those days.
It was analog.
Yes, that's true.
Well, I have managed to partake of some pop culture this week.
Fair enough.
What would you like to hear about? You can have
Well, it's a listener's choice.
Well, not really, because
it's me listening to you. I get to choose.
Yeah. You can have a grown-ups movie, a kids movie, and when I say grown-ups movie, I don't mean a porno.
Well, I'm not picking that one then.
Or a mobile game.
Well, absolutely not the mobile game, because you know how I feel about mobile games.
It's a good one.
It's a waste of time. Waste of time.
Yeah, this is all a waste of time. We're on a pop culture podcast.
It's true. You got me there. I will pick the kids movie.
Okay, well, the kids' movie I watched was Brave from Disney and Pixar.
Yep.
Which is about a young Scottish princess.
Alas.
Middle Ages, Dark Ages kind of time.
I would say that, yeah, Middle Ages.
And the various hijinks she gets up to because she's a bit of a tomboy and she doesn't want to go into her traditional gender role.
Very headstrong.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, before you get into this, I'm going to bring up again the thing that I told you about before we started the podcast. In regards to, I saw something rather amusing in regards to Brave, is that if the protagonists from the movies How to Train Your Dragon and Brave switched movies, they would both be so incredibly happy. Like, ridiculously so.
Yeah, she is a bit like Astrid from How to Train Your Dragon.
Because all she wants to do is, like, punch guys and shoot a bow and arrow and get into fights and all that sort of stuff. She just wants to be independent and do what she wants.
Yeah, she was riding a horse. And she's the best archer in the land. And
Hiccup, the protagonist from How to Train Your Dragons, absolutely doesn't want to do any of those things.
No.
He just wants to be nice and kind and invent things and, you know, learn proper manners.
I don't know that he'd be into embroidery, but he would like the...
He would create a machine to embroider things.
He would.
Yeah. So if they swap movies, they would both be very happy because she would get to go fight dragons and stuff and he would get to learn proper table manners.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on.
Well, I've seen this movie before and I remembered it very fondly, but I didn't remember it very well. So when
Standard practice for you. Yeah.
Heard some people kind of talking it down, like saying it wasn't one of Pixar's better movies.
Laying out some smack talk about Brave.
Yeah, not particularly harsh, but just saying...
like, that Merida bitch!
Saying, I thought it was kind of weak for Pixar. But
to be fair...
I thought it was really good, and I couldn't quite remember why.
I couldn't... It never really stuck with me as a Pixar movie. Like, I would have... If you put all the Pixar movies in front of me, it was like, pick one to watch. I would never have picked Brave as the first choice.
Well, I would have, and it came up on Netflix, so I did. And... all I could really remember about it was that she had amazing hair. Her hair is like the best animated thing I've ever seen.
It's very foofy.
And her dad was Billy Connolly.
Mm-hmm.
And on watching it again, I realised one of the main reasons that I loved it so much is that some of the main characters are bears.
Well, pretty much all of the main characters are bears. And for those, I don't think it's ever come up before. Possibly it has.
Well, it probably hasn't.
Well, I believe it's been mentioned in passing that Russell is obsessed. My co-host is obsessed with bears.
Oh, bears are great.
Bears are great. You love bears and wombats. Top 2 tier animals, I believe, in your mind.
Yeah, then goats.
Then goats, for some reason.
Yeah, goats are cute.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Anyway, bears. Merida's mother, the queen... early in the film, she gets transformed into a bear because of a witch's spell gone wrong.
Correct.
And then she and Merida have to work together to resolve the curse.
Yes. Oh, all the while, everybody in the castle, or like the bros and
Well, yes, everybody else in the castle hates bears.
wants to hunt them down and kill
there's
them.
like this legendary evil bear that
Yeah.
took off the king's leg.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as they find this bear, they refuse to believe that it's...
Anybody but an evil bear that
Yeah.
must be destroyed.
And so they're trying to hunt and kill it.
Yes.
And if they don't resolve this before, I think, 2 days?
2 days or something?
Yeah, until the second sunset, or sunrise, I think.
Sunrise, I believe.
And then the curse will become permanent. And so the mother's becoming more and more bear-like.
Yes. But probably something that was more of interest to you was the fact that her triplet younger siblings all got turned into tiny little bear cubs. And they ran around causing no end of mischief.
Oh, they were pretty adorable.
Yes. And I'd like to break away from the movie Brave, if I could, to tell our listeners a story. A story of the time when Russell and I were both on holiday in the same place. That sounds a bit weird. We were both...
completely separate. We didn't
completely
talk to
separate,
each other.
no. We were both over east of Australia for going to a convention. Going to
Penny
PAX.
Arcade Expo. The
Penny Arcade Expo,
very
yes.
first one.
PAX AU, I believe it's called. Yes, the very first one. And while we were there, I can't remember if we decided to go together or we just organised it on the same day. Regardless, we both ended up at the Melbourne Zoo
Oh, yeah.
on the same day. And for starters, all that day was us happening to be around animals while they were taking shits.
Yes.
We saw many animals taking shits.
Yeah.
It became like a concerning point after a while.
Yeah.
It was like,
So
oh,
our
there's
presence
another...
was somehow prompting...
the bowel movements.
Yeah.
All day though, all I heard from you was like, "Are we going to go see the bears? I want to go see the bears.
Yeah.
Are we going to see the bears now? Where are the bears in relation to where we are right now?" And then we finally went and saw the bears, or rather, we went and saw where the bears usually are.
We saw the bear exhibit.
Saw the bear exhibit enclosure.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was no bears.
There were no bears, and you were a sourpuss for the rest of the day.
I was bitterly disappointed.
And at which point, I decided to cheer you up by going and buying a postcard from the gift shop
You did.
of a bear, waiting until we got back to Perth,
Yes.
then mailing it to you, saying how great was it that we got to see all those bears.
Yeah. It did not make me feel good.
It did not make me feel better. But it made me feel great, because I thought it was hilarious.
Bear fans, I can heartily recommend Ueno Zoo in Tokyo.
Is that just like Japanese for bear zoo?
No.
Okay.
It's just a place in Tokyo. But they had 4 different kinds of bears, including polar bears, panda bears, and Hokkaido brown bears, which are freaking enormous.
Biggest bears? I think polar bears are the
bears
biggest.
Are
A polar bear? I think polar bears tops out a grizzly.
bear.
But fun fact, when I went to Canada many years ago now.
Many? Like 3 years ago?
That's many. More than 2.
How many trips have you been on since?
To Canada?
At all?
A few.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, this is not important. Went to like a bear sanctuary over there.
Wow.
And there's like this little tiny viewing area up on top of this mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like this little island separate from everything else. And the bears had like the run of this whole entire park. It was an enormous place. But they knew that they got fed if they came to this little area. So like at ascribed times of the day, they just see these like 2-3 enormous bears just sort of roll up. And it was raining, unfortunately, so they weren't very active or whatever. But we got to see these bears in Canada. Canadian bears.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Are you excited?
Probably not as excited as you would have been.
No, probably not.
But I was like, oh, cool, some bears. I'm getting rained on, though, so this is downing the experience.
Oh, yes. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Brave is as good as I remembered. I really enjoyed it, and I strongly recommend viewing. The plot is, nothing groundbreaking.
I think plot-wise, it falls apart a bit.
I don't know that it falls apart. It's just telling a very simple story that's been told many times before.
I suppose so. But, like, versus other Pixar movies, I feel like it doesn't top them out. Personal opinion, I think it's not the best.
It objectively is better than all other Pixar movies in number and prominence of bears.
It's true. Bear-wise,
Yeah.
beats them all.
Yeah.
Except maybe Monsters Incorporated.
Has it got bears in it? It's got big furry monsters.
It's got Boo. Boo gets called a bear. No, sorry, I'm lying. It gets called a kitty. Boo is a kitty, not a bear. No, I'm out. No, I got nothing. There is a bear, a teddy bear in Toy Story 3.
I haven't seen Toy Story 3.
It's a teddy bear. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy.
Bad guy teddy bear?
Yeah.
Wow. Must be a real jerk.
He's a bit of a jerk. He's got issues.
So you don't want to hear about a mobile game?
I mean, I haven't got a huge amount to talk about, so I think we're going to touch on it eventually, whether I want us to or
we'll get
not.
there down the road. But I'll tell you about my grown-up movie before then.
Sure.
I saw Whiplash.
Okay, I don't know what that is. I don't think I've ever heard of this before.
It's a critically acclaimed movie from last year about a drummer played by Miles Teller, who was Reed Richards in the unfortunate Fantastic Four movie.
No, Russell. No, you've mentioned it. Now I have to talk about it.
No, you don't.
It was terrible. I hated it.
Yeah, no.
Every aspect of it was wrong.
Yeah.
I can keep going.
No, don't.
I will. Now go on. Tell me about your movie.
Anyway, this movie is about this drummer who goes to an elite music school in New York.
Oh, so not like metal. He's not like a metal drummer.
No, jazz drummer.
Okay, fair enough.
And he meets a music teacher and a band leader played by J.K. Simmons, who was J. Jonah Jameson in the Tobey Maguire.
Oh, so we got a real Marvel thing going on here.
Everything ties back to Marvel these days.
That's true.
Anyway, the movie is about the ambition of the younger drummer and the like batshit insane like bullying and efforts that the teacher goes into to get his guys to perform as good as they can.
Okay. So would you call this a feel-good movie?
No, not at all.
No? Okay.
Most
so
of
it's
the
not
characters are just assholes.
Okay, so it's not like, oh, guys, we're just going to do our best. I know I'm being rough on you guys, but I'm only doing it because I love you.
No, he like throws chairs at people. He's like screaming obscenities at them all the time.
The guy who plays J. Jonah Jameson does seem built to get angry. He's got a good anger to him.
Yeah, he looked like either a Roman senator or a Sith Lord in this, because he's got like a shaved head and he's got one of those really, I don't know, faces. A face that would look good molded out of marble.
It's like just going like, yes, fall to the dark side.
Basically. But like, he makes this guy drum until his hands are bleeding and there's like blood flowing all over the
Why are these guys not just going, hey man, fuck you?
Yeah, that's what would have been my response.
You want me to drum until I physically damage the things that I drum with? How about go fuck yourself?
Yeah. But this guy's ambition to be like the best drummer in the world means that he feels he has to take this kind of shit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, why is he listening? Is this guy like got the chops?
Oh yeah, he's like trained all the best musicians around and stuff like that. But the only sympathetic character is the boy's dad.
He's like, son, stop killing yourself for drumming.
Like, it's fine, man. Just,
just
be happy.
Just do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
But drumming makes me happy, father.
And he's always like ready there with a hug for him and stuff like that. And you're like, good on you, Dad. Even though your son's a little asshole.
This sounds like not a very enticing movie to watch. Like, everybody's terrible.
It was very well made, and it had some really great music in it. And good acting performances.
Mm-hmm.
But the people in it were not nice people. It was a bit like A Hateful Eight with no violence.
Except the drumming.
Well, not quite no violence. It was a car accident.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
So, well, you watch this movie?
Yeah.
Why?
My brother asked me to watch it.
Oh, your brother the drummer?
Yes.
Should we give your brother's band a plug?
Oh, we probably should. I went to see their show on
Yeah.
on
Why don't
Monday
you
night.
tell... Yeah, your brother's in a band.
He is. His name's Cruz Elroy.
Which is a reference to...
To Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, yes.
One of the ghosts, I believe, is named Elroy.
Absolutely not.
Okay, never mind then. I don't know what it is.
It's a reference. It's a reference to one of the ghosts' movement patterns, but the name Cruz Elroy has got nothing to do with with the ghosts. The
Well,
ghosts
what
are
is it
called
then?
Inky Winky, Blinky, and Clyde.
Why is it Cruise Samurai?
Look, I looked it up, but I've forgotten. All right. Hey,
You're
why are
gonna
you
call me
giving
on my shit?
Why are
I'll
you giving
call
me
you on your
sass?
shit.
I'm like,
We have an equal relationship of shit calling.
it's true, but I'm offering information. You're just like, is this something to do with one of the ghosts? And I'm like, no. And you're like, well, fuck you.
Essentially, yeah. They're an instrumental 4-piece.
They say that only because they can't decide who's going to be the lead singer.
Well, the keyboard guy sings when they play Superstition by Stevie Wonder. But that's the only song that they really have any vocals in.
And it's also a
originals
cover,
is
and you
just
know how I
music.
feel about covers.
You love them.
No. No, Russell, no, I don't.
Well, when we went down to LARP training tonight, if I had driven, I was going to put on my covers playlist and wait and see how long it took you to notice that it was a covers playlist.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't do that, because your phone would have gone out the window.
You would have jumped out of the car speeding down the highway.
That's true.
So Whiplash was very good, but it was...
Did you feel like traumatized after it? It's like one of those movies that you watch and you come out of it just going like, oh man, I'm real bummed now.
No, it wasn't so bad. I mostly just thought, wow, those guys were...
Were you just like,
dickheads.
Man, drummers are dickheads.
Well, no, because there was people on all the musical positions who were getting and giving out the same treatment.
Fair enough.
But, yeah, it was a good movie, but, you know, not a feel-good.
Not a feel-good movie of the year.
Yeah. If you want to feel good, watch Brave.
It's true. It's got a happy ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to feel cultured, watch Whiplash.
No, fuck you. I don't think watching a movie about abusive drummer teachers is necessarily a cultured thing.
It kind of is.
No.
J.K. Simmons won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
In that, well, that's just because that guy's a good actor. Doesn't make the movie good.
Well,
Do you have like an IMDb rating? I'd be curious for an IMDb rating for this movie.
All right, but you're gonna have to fill some dead air while I look it up.
Okay, I keep telling you that's called vamping.
I'm not sure that's what vamping is.
No, I'm absolutely sure it is. That's
I
what
feel
it
like
is.
vamping has something to do with the sex thing.
What? It's a sex thing.
I don't know. It might be.
Like your first instinct isn't to take it to like vaping. It's about vaping.
No, because I listen to the McElroy Ranger podcasts, and they just talk about vaping all the time.
That's true, they do. But I don't think that's got anything to do with vamping.
Whiplash, IMDb rating 8.5 out of 10.
That's actually a pretty good rating.
It's a very good rating.
What I love is that one of my favorite movies is the highest rated movie on IMDb.
What movie is that, Alan?
It's Shawshank Redemption.
That was a good movie. It
Um,
won 3 Oscars.
what did Whiplash? For what?
Best Supporting Actor, Best Film Editing, and Best Sound Mixing. Strikes me as weird that they have like multiple different categories for sound. It should just be for the score, and then for other sound.
Well, there's the score, and then there's like Foley work, I suppose, would be another category. And then there's the only other thing in a movie is voices, which would fall into the Best Actor category.
No, there's like multiple weird awards for sound. And none for stuntmen. Those are all my bugbears. Is that the right word, bugbears?
No. Bugbears, I don't know what that is, but it's...
Well, it's a D&D monster, but
It
I
is,
feel
yeah.
like it's also for like something that bugs you.
No. It might be like one of your pet hates.
Yeah, that.
They're not a bugbear. It's one of my bugbears.
Google.
It's one of my owlbears.
It's one of my owlbears. Because stuntmen.
Oh, they do a lot of work.
Yeah.
They do great stuff.
And they don't get recognised by
They
the
get
Academy.
diddly
No.
shit.
Bugbear, noun, 1. A cause of obsessive fear, anxiety, or irritation.
What a load of nonsense.
Synonym, pet hate.
I've
Irritant.
never heard of that. What a bugbear.
One of my bugbears.
That's such a stupid sounding saying.
Number 2, archaic. An imaginary being invoked to frighten children. Typically a sort of hobgoblin supposed to devour them.
Yeah, it's a bugbear.
That's the archaic term.
Yeah, you know why? Because the new meaning of bugbear, you know what that is, Russell? It's a word cover.
Where are we at?
We are going to talk about the fact that I watched a movie that is moderately old that I'd never seen before at one of the movie nights that we went to.
Oh, yes.
We got to watch a movie that I'd never seen before, much to my chagrin. This It's just a movie I just never got around to
Would you say
watching.
it was one of your bugbears? That you
No, I
never
would
watched
not.
it?
Because it's a stupid saying and I refuse to use it. No, we watched Cabin in the Woods
Yeah.
with a bunch of friends of ours on last Friday. Was it Friday? Yeah, it's Friday. And I'd never seen it before, and it was weird movie.
Yeah, it was a weird movie.
It is a weird movie. I quite liked it.
Yeah.
But if its goal was to scare me in any way, shape, or form,
I don't think its goal was to scare you.
then it absolutely never scared me in any way, shape, or form.
Maybe with the merman, he was pretty scary.
It was pretty scary. No. Like, I don't know. If it had just been, like, straight up until the reveal, then it probably would have been a little scary.
Yeah, but it's constantly cutting away.
But it's constantly cutting away to, like, guys, like, fucking talking about jacking off and stuff like that. You know? So,
and Josh from The West Wing is there.
which one was he?
He was the main guy, but not the older guy.
He was the guy who got killed by the...
By the merman, yeah.
Merman, yeah.
He was the merman guy.
Do you know where I recognize him from?
No.
He's the bad guy in Billy Madison.
Really?
Yeah. You know the guy who's
He's
like
trying to take over the
company. That's that guy. That's where I recognize him from.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'm usually right with those sort of things. Like, I'm terrible with names, but I'll recognize an actor.
Yeah. So, at what point did you realise what was going on? Spoilers for Cabin in the Woods, by the way.
In regards to why they were doing what they were doing?
Yeah.
Pretty much as soon as I saw the first blood go into, like, the first altar.
Like, yeah.
And they were talking about sacrifices. I was like, oh, this is to keep, like, a devil or Satan down or the dark gods in check or something. That's, like, the only thing this is possibly going to be. Yeah, useful. Because one of them was, like, pulled the lever, the blood went down. Which doesn't make any sense to me. It's not the sacrifice's blood.
Well, the bit that didn't make sense to me was when the stoner guy got killed, in inverted commas, and his blood filled up the thing.
Well, it's not his blood, though. It's just blood. It's not theirs. That's what the confusing part was. Because they're way up top, and the sacrificing is way down below. It's just someone's blood.
That is weird.
Yeah, right? That didn't click with me. I was like, what the fuck is this? Just somebody... What, did one of the workers just make a donation of blood or something?
I don't know. Maybe it's last year's, guys.
Maybe. That doesn't make any sense.
No. It was just from a blood bank.
Just from a blood bank.
Yeah.
It's like a memo goes around the office. Well, it's coming up to sacrificing season. Please donate to the so on and so forth. So the basic plot of the movie is that there's this organization that manufactures these sort of horror situations around the world to appease these dark gods with these sacrifices, but they have to be willing sacrifices of a sort. And there has to be some sort of random chance to it. So they orchestrate this stereotypical cabin in the woods sort of...
The sacrifices have to be done according to particular...
Criteria,
but those criteria match up with, like, stereotypical horror movies in different genres.
I believe that the theme that they were trying to go for was the reason why we have all these tropes in horror movies is because of the way they do these things. Yeah. It
was an interesting concept.
It's even if you never told me it was Joss Whedon, it smacks of Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon going like, oh, what if we go like the reason why all of this is like this is because of this other thing.
It has to be.
Some sort of Machiavellian orchestration situation.
My favourite bit was when they when things are starting to go bad, and then it cuts away from the technician guys to the computer monitor, and you see the Japanese girls all standing in a circle, chanting heavily, and destroying the ring ghost that's tormenting them. Yeah,
that was pretty good.
Yeah,
I liked all the different themes. Like, the Japanese girls had like the Japanese horror movie, which is like a different culture's version of like an Oni monster or something like that, or whatever. A vengeful spirit is usually Japanese thing. And it was like in Rio de Janeiro or something. It was like this big horned beast that was like laying waste to the land and stuff like that. Or like there was like a chupacabra or something. You know? And I thought it was well filmed. Mm-hmm. It was well made, and it had Thor in it, so I'm happy.
It did. And none of the other sacrifices were they?
Sorry?
Anyone in particular?
Who are you talking about?
The kids who went out to the cabin.
What about them?
The actors.
Oh, the actors. No, I didn't recognize any of the other ones. That's what I'm saying.
They are in other things.
I was going to say, they obviously
Not that I
have been in
recognize.
other things, but I didn't. None of them reached his height of popularity.
Yeah. It was also funny how they, like all of them, their characters were intelligent, but then in order to more appropriately fill the roles, the technicians
They had to,
pumped
like-
in like pheromones and things.
They had
turn them into
to.
drilling
They had
idiots.
to like. They had to fit the criteria
Yeah.
of like, the hero, the jock,
Yeah.
like the slut, which is the whore, the fool, which is like the stoner,
Yeah.
and the what do they use to describe the smart kid?
The scholar.
The scholar, and there was one more, the virgin.
The virgin.
And, you know, obviously the virgin is not a virgin.
Yeah.
And the fool is actually quite politically intelligent and stuff like that. He's just a stoner.
Oh, and Sigourney Weaver showed up at the end to
Yeah.
lay down the law.
But yeah, and then, like, and the jock, which was the Thor, whose actor's name I forget.
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth, thank you.
Australian.
It's like,
Australian.
he is Australian. He's, like, got a full scholarship to, like, college because he's so smart and stuff like that. And then, like, they pump pheromones in to make him stupid or something. Yeah. And there's a smart blonde girl. They put chemicals in her bleach in her hair to, like, seep in through the skin and make her dumb and stuff like that. So it's all very this and that. But it was a good movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
A couple of plot holes, like whose blood is that? Performing the sacrifices, and the spoiler. The end of the movie. The stoner survived, the fool, and he had to die to make the ritual work to keep the gods, at bay. And he didn't, and then Sigourney Weaver showed up out of nowhere, and like the virgin, the main character, had a gun, and Sigourney Weaver was like, "You have to kill him. Just shoot him. Just kill him." I was like, "Why don't you have a gun, Sigourney Weaver? There's plenty of him thrown around. Just fucking shoot the stoner. Problem solved."
Yeah.
But she ended up like wrestling with him, and then like falling off the edge into the dark gods, and
Yeah, I don't really know what her plan was there.
yeah, I was like, just to convince someone to shoot someone else. This seems
There's hundreds of
remarkably
armed
easily.
guards in this facility. Surely you could get a gun if you needed one.
And the whole thing was like, the stoner and the virgin, I have no idea what their names are, found their way down to like the underground complex where everything was being run.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you need to kill the stoner, but the virgin has to either stay alive or die afterwards. Because that's the way the tropes of the movie goes, that the virgin is the one that always survives. And then when they came down in the elevator and they got released into the complex, there was one guy there.
Yeah.
There was one guy that they overpowered and took a gun off. Why not just send an armed pack of guards?
Everybody.
Send everybody. This is like end of the world sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway. And it's the only thing the entire complex is doing at that moment is trying to fix
Trying
this
to
problem.
kill this
Trying
one
to kill
guy.
this one guy. Whatever. Give it a watch if you haven't already. And if you haven't already, I'm sorry, I just spoiled the entire movie.
The whole plot. But we did say.
We did say. What else you got?
I'm just checking our time, man. Yeah, I've got time to talk about Pathfinder Adventures for
Awesome.
iPad.
Yay. You can... I'll just have a little nap while you're doing that.
Well, it is a faithful adaptation of a card game.
Mm-hmm.
So I might get you back on board with that.
It's called Pathfinder?
It's called Pathfinder Adventure Card Game.
Well, Pathfinder is a type of Dungeons and Dragons, isn't it?
It's a similar role-playing game based on D&D 3.5 edition.
Yeah, Pathfinder.
But they've been so successful that they've expanded out and they're lending their name to other kinds
Just
of games.
making that hot bank
Yeah.
is what they're doing.
Well, tabletop RPGs, that's where the real money is.
It's a big industry.
Yeah, but not compared to...
Not compared to like
basically any
mobile
other
games or anything,
gaming
yeah.
industry. Anyway, Pathfinder Adventures is a card-based game where basically use various decks of cards to simulate a D&D style adventure where you get your party of characters who each have their own deck, and the adventure, like the obstacles that you're going to face and the treasure that you find, is in an adventure deck. And each turn you draw a card from the adventure deck and you use the cards. They can't see that, man.
Sorry, I just pretended to fall asleep.
Yeah.
No, go on.
And you use the cards that your characters have, which are like their weapons and armor and spells and things like that, to overcome the obstacles and defeat the monsters and claim the treasure. And
so pretty stock standard stuff.
Yeah, it's nothing like groundbreaking, but it is very enjoyable.
You've got a penchant. A penchant.
A penchant.
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 Penchant. Yes, I can't go any lower without just going like for like these games that let you collect things and unlock things and all that sort of stuff.
Well, yeah, me and like half the world.
Well, yeah, I can understand the mentality of it, but it's just not something that grasps me. As I've mentioned before, I don't have that collector's mentality.
Right.
So I'll pass. I'll pass on it.
Well, I'm enjoying it.
I'm glad you're enjoying it, Russell.
Yeah. You
gotta do something during those long hours of pretending to work.
That's it. The physical card game has been a big hit, I'm led to believe. I had a look in Tactics, and it's very expensive. It's not collectible like Magic, but you buy the whole set.
Yeah.
But that's like $100.
I'm sure there's be expansions and stuff.
Oh yeah. There's like loads of different sets.
But having said that, having all of my mocking of mobile games aside, that is a huge industry. It's like ridiculous. Like they have like Arnold Schwarzenegger doing like ads like Clash of Clans and stuff like that.
Yeah, that freaks me out. Like Liam Neeson
and what's her name? The really big titted woman did the fucking Dublaki. I don't know her name. I don't know if you know her name and you're just being mean and not telling me. Britt Edelstein? No, that's not who I'm talking about. Whatever.
Have you learned to recognize that expression I get when I'm just letting you fly around for a name?
Yes, I have. But it's very similar to your Alan, what the fuck are you talking about?
Okay.
Face. So I don't know. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Do you mean Kate Upton?
Kate Upton, yes. Yeah. You piece of shit. She did a very sultry ad for, I think it actually was Clash of Clans.
No, I think hers was Game of War, which is still the best name ever for a video game. Game of War.
Game of War.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, do you want to have a Game of War?
Yeah. It's a war game.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a $1 billion industry, easy.
Yeah, I think we talked on the podcast ages back about Activision buying out King or whoever it was.
Yeah, who like had
$6 billion.
They had whatchamacallit, the game
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush.
Yeah.
But even then, it's only gotten bigger since then,
and
it's on an upward trend.
Yes.
And it confuses and angers me.
Get on board, man.
No, I used to play a lot of games on my phone. I used to have, fun fact, I used to have perfected every Angry Birds game.
Perfected?
Well, I'd cleared every level. No,
or...
I'd cleared every level.
Okay.
Yeah. But then my phone died and it crashed and I got rid of all that stuff. And I was like, I can't be fucked starting from scratch. So I had realized how much time I was just pumping into this stuff and how much of my battery drain it was and all that sort of stuff. And
well,
so
you just gotta
fucked it off.
Keep it under control.
Yeah, I mean, it was never really an obsession for me, but I just realized, like, why am I just sitting here playing games on my phone when I could go play games on my computer or go read a book or something?
Well, if you have a public transport commute or if there are times throughout your day where you're just like sitting around.
Yeah, I don't have that though.
No.
So
maybe it doesn't suit your lifestyle.
It does not, no. Well, do you have anything else that you want to talk about other than 17 mobile games that you play on a regular basis?
To correct you, currently on my phone I have Marvel Puzzle Quest.
No, I don't want a list.
Monument Valley, Lara Croft Go, and Sorcery.
Do you have that stupid mobile game that you made me play around the world in 80 days?
I've got that on my iPad.
Not a single Angry Birds on there, though.
No, Angry Birds is old news.
Alright, well. Tell that to the multi-million-dollar movie that's coming out soon.
Yeah, part of me hopes that's going to bomb really hard.
It probably will.
Yeah. No,
Well,
it'll probably be a massive success.
It'll be a success because everybody's going to take their kids to it.
Yeah. Are they making a Minecraft movie?
Are they? I don't know.
If not, why not?
I don't know. There's not really a narrative there.
It doesn't matter. Just whack Minecraft on it. Everybody will go.
Well, the guy who made Minecraft, Notch, Mojang Industries or whatever, he's already a fucking billionaire.
Yeah, didn't he sell the company?
He may have done. I don't know. I don't keep close track on that sort of stuff.
No.
Yeah, I played Minecraft when it first came out. When it was in fucking beta, I played it. Much to Russell hates beta games. Never play them.
I don't know why you're trying to build this up as a major part of my character.
Well, you're pretty bland otherwise. I gotta take the ups where I can give them to you. But yeah, so I played it and I'm done with it. And I tried every now and then. I'll try to go back and play some Minecraft again. Mm-hmm. I tried to use it as a tool to create layouts for Dungeons and Dragons castles and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Then I realized it was much quicker and easier to just draw them.
Yeah.
But there's so much more in there now. Because when I first played it was very basic. And now there's so much more stuff. I'd have to go back through and relearn everything. There's potions of invisibility and strength and all this stuff. Go get fucked. Back when we just punched sheep and that was all we did back in the day. Yeah, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But if you haven't got anything else you want to talk about, one thing we should talk about is that we're going to be watching X-Men: Age of Apocalypse tomorrow.
Isn't it just X-Men Apocalypse?
Is it? I can't remember. It should be Age of Apocalypse because that's the name of the fucking comic books.
I feel like it's probably loosely based on the comics.
Yeah. And I'm not hopeful, Russell, because almost every X-Men movie is a bag of garbage.
I like the first two. And
X-Men and X2.
I've liked all of them except for The Last Stand. Oh, and the spin-off single hero movies.
Wolverine and stuff.
Has there been any others? There was going to be a Magneto movie at some stage.
I believe there was. I'm not sure whether it ever... To be honest, it's not one of the Marvel franchises that I keep a close track on. But I consider most of them to be awful.
Fair enough.
Like The Wolverine is terrible.
Leave Wolverine movies out.
X1 and X2 were good. That I will admit. X3, terrible.
Yes.
X-Men First Class, garbage. And X-Men Days of Future Past, also garbage.
See, I don't agree, but I do admit my bias.
You've got a serious man crush on Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
Who plays Magneto.
Yeah. Well, Magneto's my favourite comic character as well.
Fair enough. He's a dynamic character.
Yeah.
He's good now, by the way. Unless he's switched back to evil since I have last looked at him.
You mean in the comics?
Yeah. He's a good guy.
I think in this movie he's a bad guy.
It wouldn't surprise me.
It looks from the trailer like he's one of the Four Horsemen.
Well, just because you're one of the Four Horsemen doesn't mean you're evil. It just means that you've been corrupted by Apocalypse.
Don't you fight against the good guys?
Yeah. But Wolverine's been one of the X-Men. Nightcrawler's been one of the Horsemen. So is Angel.
Yeah, but for the time in which you are one of the Four Horsemen, aren't you a bad guy?
Well, yes, by nature of being put under mind control and stuff.
That's fine by me.
That's like debating as to whether Bucky, as the Winter Soldier, is a bad guy because he was brainwashed. He was brainwashed, though.
Well, yeah, I'm not arguing about the character's moral responsibility or anything. But he's fighting against the heroes, therefore in the movie he's the bad guy.
Yes. But do you say he's intrinsically a bad guy?
No.
Yeah.
That wasn't my question.
Well, that was my question, Russell.
Okay. Well, we're talking at cross purposes. And we should get along to the forced review.
We should. We will go on to forced review. Force review is traditionally where one of us forces the other person to review something that they haven't seen, read, heard, played, experienced, lived,
battled.
Yeah, I'll throw something for you to battle in there at one point or another.
Role played,
yeah, or eaten. I've never given you an eating challenge.
Yeah,
maybe one day.
No, food is off the table.
Why not? Why?
Well, I don't want to eat.
What if it's like pop culture related?
What?
Ramen. That's in a lot of anime.
I've eaten ramen. I've etten ramen.
Yeah, not the ramen I'm gonna make you eat.
I feel like anything that you could suggest for me to eat, I've either already eaten or I don't want to eat.
That's part of the Force review. Anyway, not important. Last week we had the lovely Kerry on with us, Astro Kerry, as she's more commonly known, and she challenged us to come and do some LARPing.
Yeah.
Live action role playing, which is a step up from where we've gone up to, which is
on the nerdy scale.
Yeah, on the sliding nerdy scale, we've gotten up to playing D&D on a regular basis, but never go on the next notch up, which is live action role playing.
Yeah.
And that is what we did. Do you want to talk about it?
Well, yeah.
I mean, do you want to talk about it?
Fill this podcast up somehow.
Yes, I'm saying instead of me just expunging information, what's your stance?
Sure. Well, we drove down together to Gosnells to take part in a training session for the Shattered World LARP.
Which is 1,000 miles away from anywhere.
It is the other side of the moon.
Yes. It's in deep space.
Yep. It was on an oval where there was football training happening over the other side of the oval under the lights.
A fair distance away, yes.
And when the football training stopped, the lights went off.
Yes.
Training continued in the dark.
Plunged us into darkness.
Yeah.
But we should go blow by blow here, because we arrived at approximately...
we don't have to go through all the awkward...
No, we do, because I feel like it's part of it.
I feel it's embarrassing.
Yeah, embarrassing to us, though, which is fine. It's not... Anyway, we're going to meet Kerry and her boyfriend, James, there, and they were going to be, like, sort of our guides. But this is on me, I absolutely did not question them as to when they would be arriving on the day.
Whether it might be an hour and a half late.
Yes. So, we arrived there, not on time, fashionably late.
Yeah.
It was like, I started at 5 and we got there about 5:30.
I feel like that was as early as you could expect north of the river people
That's true.
with jobs to get there.
Yeah. If you decide to go 40 minutes away from the central business area of the state, of the region, then you have a bit of leniency. But we rocked up there, you and me, and we hopped out, and they were already well into the swing of things. And we walked up, stood nearby, and usually that's like a signal, because I've been to a couple of these things. Like, as I mentioned on the podcast last week, I joined a historically accurate hitting people with swords and stuff like that, reenactment style stuff back in the day. And traditionally the way it works is you go and stand nearby awkwardly until someone notices you who is moderately in charge of it, comes over to you and go like, are you alright? Then you go, actually, I'm interested in what you are participating in. And then they go like, oh, of course, please, welcome. And they drag you over. That did not happen.
No. Well, they were occupied with training dozens of people to fight with swords.
Yes, that's true. But there were so many other people standing around.
Yeah.
And so you and I just stood there awkwardly going like, where's Kerry? Is Kerry arriving? Where is Kerry? And she's like, I'll be there in half an hour. And we stood around super awkwardly until we'd stood around so long that it was too late for us to just go up and introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we'd been there too long, just watching them in a creepy fashion. Some sort of weird outsiders gawking at them. Like, what are these people doing? Oh, foam swords and stuff. Like, judging them with our eyes, I felt like we were doing. Until Kerry showed up. And then introduced us, and the person running it at that point was very apologetic and very nice about saying, oh, I'm sorry if nobody contacted you or something. What was his name? James.
His name was also James.
Which
does make things a bit confusing.
No, but it makes it super easy for me to remember his name.
Yes, everybody's just James. He was a lovely chap.
Yes.
He was one of the storytellers. I don't know why I had trouble with that word. Who were like the organisers.
They're basically the DMs.
The writers, yeah. And he was excited to have new people along.
I think he was excited to be able to tell the entire history of LARPing to someone.
Yes, we had a very good conversation.
Yes, and at this point, I would like to apologise to our listeners because Russell and I discussed before we went down to this LARPing that it would be a good idea to get a portable microphone recording device, and I spent good 2 hours going and buying one and like trying to get a windsock for it. Couldn't find one. It was a whole day, Russell, and. I went off and did more of the sort of physical activities, like I participated in the combat to like get a feel of that, and you know.
Oh, I had to go too.
You did, but you were unhappy with your weapon that you were given.
I was given a cutlass kind of thing, 2 feet
like
long.
Like a scimitar or some variety.
Alan was given this gigantic sword.
It looked like it was from the Sword of Kings from Lord of the Rings.
Like something out of Braveheart.
Yeah, it was a cool sword. And so I was more into that because I discovered that I have an advantage over even the people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because I'm 6'4" and I had a long sword and an enormous reach.
Yeah.
So I could just stay out of their swinging range and just like clip him in the legs with the sword. But you were more chatting to the guy running the whole biz.
Yeah, and a few of the other people came past.
And that was fine. I was like, you were happy doing that, and I was happy doing what I did. But I was like, and then you mentioned afterwards, as we were leaving, you're like, oh, I should have like recorded the conversation I had with that guy, and we could have like put it up in the podcast. And I was like, that didn't occur to me, Russell. But now that you've said that, fuck you for not doing that.
Well, it didn't occur to me until 3/4 of the way through our conversation. At which point it would have been kind of weird to say, oh, that half-hour chat we just had was good, but now I want to start recording.
Yeah,
so
you got deep chat with that guy.
Yeah.
You got all the... See, I got all the practical experience. You've got all the knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so together...
We're one functioning
LARPer member.
Yeah.
Well, you lay out some sweet knowledge on us about the chat you were having, and then I'll tie us up with the practical application.
Well, the first part of the chat... which you were party to.
Yes, was the safety.
Took us through like a brief safety briefing.
Brief safety briefing.
I regret using brief.
No, it's too late. It's too late. We're too deep into it.
Yes.
A brief safety briefing on the briefty of safety briefs.
Yes. So no headshots, no thrusting.
Yep.
No
hand shots.
No hand shots.
No groin shots.
No groin shots.
No neck shots.
Yes. No particularly vulnerable spots. Except for like the heart and lungs, they're fine.
Yes, but no stabbing either.
Yeah, no thrusting. I can't say that word without
thrusting.
Hesitating afterwards.
Now, fun story. You probably didn't see this because it's quite dark at this point, but we got partnered up with these. You got partnered up with Kerry for like a demonstration of how to go about it safely.
Yeah.
And I got partnered up with this other girl. It was a perfectly lovely woman.
Remy? Was it?
I can't remember her name.
Remy.
I'm terrible with names. Anyway, and I had my sword in two hands, and I took a swing at her, like upwards, like from the left going to her right shoulder.
Yeah.
And she reached out and smacked me in the hand, and I was like, which sort of twisted me off, and I hit her in the face.
So your first action at LARP training was to
hit someone in the face. But she hit me in the hand, so I was just very startled. It didn't hurt. It was just like, oh, somebody's hit me in the hand, which caused me to like wave her off and knock her in the nose.
I did wonder why that person was getting stretched off so early in the piece.
You know, the worst part of it was she had a nose ring.
Wow.
And I clopped her right in the nose ring.
Right.
So I was very sorry about that. And if she happens to end up listening to this, I apologize. I'm not blaming you for hitting me in the hand to hit you in the face. But that's what fucking happened. Anyway.
So post safety briefing, and after I had a bit of a bash at Kerry, and then we got involved in a
bit of a scuffle.
A melee, skirmish. I don't know. We were put on a team.
We were like, go over there
and
attack everyone else.
I did like that after the few minutes of safety briefing, they just threw us right into...
Yeah, well, it's not like you can really hurt yourself. Even
You tried.
Even if I ate absolute shit on the first go.
Yeah.
In the first battle, which was fun, I had fun. I discovered that I had a very long reach. And I was facing this guy who had 2 weapons. I only had 1. Which seems like a huge advantage, having 2 weapons. You can use a block with one and hit with the other. Mm-hmm. I discovered that he was moderately shorter than me, and I could just like sort of lean forward and reach out and just clip him in the legs, and he couldn't really do anything about it. I did that, and he took a swing at me, and I panicked, and the sword was like down near the legs, and I pulled my sword back, and I tried to step back, and proceeded to stick the sword in between my legs somehow, and then sort of get twisted around, and then do that thing where you like step one foot behind the other foot, then try to step back with the other foot and hit yourself in your leg with your own foot. Stumbled back a couple of times and just ate shit over backwards.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, what the fuck happened? So yeah, I
was immediately like, whoa, I don't want to mess with that guy.
Yeah, that guy fucking force pushed the shit out of me. Yeah, so I ate shit in the first combat, but luckily we were on grass, so I was fine.
Yeah. For anyone who wasn't there, it was exactly as entertaining as it is when your friend trips himself over.
If you've ever seen a person trip themselves over and fall on their ass, it was exactly as funny as that.
Yeah. So I sort of bowed out after that.
Because you were salty about your tiny sword.
No, that was not why.
It was a factor.
To get the broadest experience possible in the short time we had.
I was more interested in discovering the fact that I had a long sword and a long arm and I could bop people with a weapon.
Wow, my genetic advantage is really coming into play here.
Yeah. It's like you get like the MMA fighters who are like super long limbs and lanky, and they just demolish pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Because other guys are like, I can't get near you. You're like, I can punch you in the face. Yeah. Genetic advantages. Take them where you can get them.
Yeah.
It's my opinion.
So do you want to talk more about the fighting? Or
No. I'm now that we've got to the point where we've separated and you've gone your own way. Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell us some of the glorious backstory of LARPing and Shattered Worlds and whatever else you talked to this guy about?
Well, he took me through the rules, like not in any great detail, but sort of the gist of them.
Don't they have an actual legitimate rule book that you have to read?
Yeah, they do, because you have to create a character. Mm-hmm. And that has to include like a backstory, which will be incorporated into the story and into your role playing. But you also have to choose your abilities and things like that. So there are certain techniques that you are forbidden from doing unless you have spent the XP or whatever to get the required skill. Like there are different kinds of shields, large shields and small shields and bucklers.
No, which are the tiny shields that you strap to your arms.
Yeah. And you can use a weapon in the same hand that is holding a buckler, but you have to have the required ability on your character sheet to do so.
Yes, which makes sense from like an RPG perspective, but not from a real world perspective, because I feel like you could hold a weapon and strap something to your forearm and still use the weapon.
Yeah, well, you can, obviously, and people do, but yeah, there's kind of a bit of a bridge to
Terabithia.
Thing I'm looking for. Yeah, it's kind of a gap that I have to cross in my like sense of
disbelief. You got to suspend your disbelief. Is that what you're trying to say?
I guess so. Yeah. In bringing a character sheet into my real life capabilities.
Well, in the same way that in Dungeons and Dragons, if you're not proficient in a weapon, you have disadvantage with using it.
Yeah. And it does make sense, and it means that you can't do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so somebody can specialize in a particular thing and feel good about having that specialization.
Ability, yeah. There's some things that just didn't make sense to me though. And I'm not like balls deep in all the lore of rules and all that sort of stuff.
I'm sure they would love to have you balls deep in their lore.
But our friend Kerry does a character who is a projectile. You know, she uses like a gun, like a flintlock pistol in like would be the mechanics, the closest to reality of the weapon she wants to use. And I made the question of, if you can like block somebody's attack with a sword. Like say you shoot the thing, bang, you shoot the gun, and somebody comes up to you and attacks you with a sword. Can you block the sword with the gun? And they're like, no. I was like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, yeah, I asked I met Josh, who is one of the crafters.
Is this a guy who went like fucking off the deep end when I mentioned the word trebuchet?
Yeah, but let's not get into that.
No, he seemed perfectly lovely. Yeah. But he was like, I'm making a cannon. I'm like, that's cool. And I've always wanted to make like a catapult or a trebuchet, just like a little miniature one, just because it looks like it'd be something fun to make.
Yeah.
So I was like, you could also make a trebuchet. And he was like, fuck you.
He was not like...
He was not that bad, no. But I'm not upset at all, or whatever. I found it greatly amusing.
He did insist that he was making a cannon, though.
He was like, I'm making a fucking cannon. I was like, all right, man. I just thought trebuchets are pretty cool.
One step at a time.
One step at a time. We'll get there. Love you, guy. Well, I've forgotten your name already, but I'm sure you're lovely. Josh.
Yeah. You totally derailed me now. I forget what I was even talking about.
Talking about Josh and his cannon, and you met his maker and block him with a gun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was demonstrating his band gun to me. It was a prototype that he'd sort of copied from one that they had got from over east.
It seemed to work pretty well.
Yeah. It shot up to like 8 meters or so.
It seemed quite dangerous to reload because the front bit is just like this metal pipe, which is no doubt pretty sharp, and it's got these 2 little divots that hold the thing in place. And just to watch him load it, it looked like, man, you could really cut yourself on the end of that thing.
Oh, I had a go of loading it. It seemed...
I'm just saying, maybe like a rubber tip on the end with like a little curved bit on the end as a holster for the thing, so it'd be easier to load and less dangerous.
Yeah. If
you like accidentally poke someone with it, it won't hurt them or whatever. But what do I know? I'm just this guy over here obsessed with trebuchets.
Yeah, you're the trebuchet guy.
You know, for years I called it a trebucket.
Yep. I do now.
Like for like a disturbing amount of time, I was like, "Oh yeah, a trebucket."
Yeah. Anyway, one of my questions to Josh was, after you fired the gun, like reloading, like takes at least 10 seconds. I would estimate. Can you use it as a melee weapon?
Because that's what they used to do with
historically.
Flintlocks.
Like
you'd shoot a flintlock, turn it around, and it's got a big ball of wood on the end. You used to clock dudes in the head with it.
But no, you cannot do that.
If they could...
Presumably because...
It's a lump of wood?
Yeah. As opposed to a foam sword.
I wonder if they could like make one of those out of... That foam stuff is pretty sturdy. I wonder if they could make a gun out of the foam stuff.
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe.
It could be the like next level of technology.
That's it. I'm revolutionizing the whole industry.
I wonder if you could like have a bayonet or something, like a dagger fixed.
Well, you'd need a flintlock rifle at that point to have a bayonet, because just like
you see like fantasy weapons where they have like knives stuck on the front of their pistols.
Well, yes.
Yeah, it's a fantasy game.
Yeah, I suppose. They haven't got gun swords either, though. So.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Revolutionizing the industry.
And the lore stuff, there was
a lot of it.
An awful lot to take in.
Yes. Well, this was my interpretation of it. It's called the Shattered Worlds LARP, and
singular, I think. Shattered Worlds.
Shattered Worlds, sorry. Which I'm assuming is a reference to the fact that there's about 4 factions, sort of fighting for dominance.
Yes.
And that's about as far as I got.
Okay. Yeah, there is 4 factions.
I know there's like a militaristic faction and a sort of an anarchistic faction, but I don't know anything about the other ones.
Well, they were not explained that way to me.
Okay. I was just picking it up as I went along.
Right. I won't go into detail on what all the factions are because...
we'd probably butcher it.
We'd probably butcher it, and I don't want to upset anybody. But there are 4 factions, and the players are split into those factions, and within the factions there are war bands, who are like groups of players who are often friends.
So it'd be like the real world, where you could relate it to the real world, is like a continent has many countries.
No.
But there's the war bands are all part of this one faction. So there are all these individual different war bands who are part of this same big group. I feel the metaphor holds, Russell.
Okay, well, we'll go with that.
Probably not the best metaphor, but I'm sticking with it.
Yes. Okay.
If anybody is listening who was at the LARP, I'm not making fun. I promise you. I had a lot of fun, and I'm sure you're all lovely. But this is a comedy podcast, and I have to make the joke somewhere.
Where was I going?
Shattered Worlds. 4 factions.
Yes, 4 factions.
God, I gotta stop talking. You're just so awful at staying on track.
Yeah, I'm quite tired.
That's fair enough.
And these factions are all trying to achieve different objectives based on their backstory. Like, there's one faction whose homeland has been devastated and is now mostly a desert.
Probably from the shattering of the world.
Possibly. Anyway, so their objective is to get enough food to eat, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other factions who are trying to unite their different sub-factions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's others who just want to take over and kick everyone's ass. And
maybe
others
those
who
two
want to gain magical power.
I think the two that you're talking about, the ones that I recognize, are the ones that just want to run around and kick everybody's ass. They're like the anarchistic faction that I was being told about. And the ones that want to unite everybody was probably the militaristic faction that I was being told about.
Possibly, I don't know.
I gotta admit, I am impressed because as the DM of our Dungeons and Dragons group, I have to sort of maintain 5 characters and their interactions and create a story around all of your business.
Yeah.
And the people who write these stories and all the lore and all that sort of stuff for these LARPing stuff, there's like hundreds of people that they have to keep track of. It's very impressive.
Yeah, I do wonder how much everyone can be involved. So I imagine you have to drive your own story.
I think it's a lot of it is just like setting the scene and then letting people go. Yeah. Because with D&D, I quite often like try to go roughly around in a circle, and I'll say this episode is mostly about, or this like mini storyline is mostly about your character, and it's about like stuff that your character cares about, and then that person feels really engaged, and they're like, "Oh, this is awesome! This is all about stuff that I care about." Yeah. But then that'll end, and I'll be like, "All right, now we're going on to something that's your character, other person, and this is now what you're all about, and this is what'll make you happy." And then you're like, "Oh, I'm all engaged," and it just creates a sense of camaraderie as other people are helping you with like your subplots and all that sort of stuff.
Is that true in the current arc?
Like you guys are sort of like end game here, so all like the mini quests are pretty much over at this point.
Right. Okay. I was trying to work out after you said that who the current one's relating to.
Well, if it would be anybody, it'd be Sariel because it's about her cousin and all that sort of stuff.
About Braun because we're getting to fight a big monster.
Yeah. Or everybody who wants to fight a big monster. But yeah, the fact that they can keep moderate track of all this nonsense is no doubt going on with hundreds of people doing all this sort of business. And I don't know how many people are actually showing up to these LARP events, but
I think somebody said 120 or 150.
Impossible to keep all on track.
So I think they've got like 8 storytellers or something all working together, but even
then, you just got to be like, it's got to be like, all right, you guys are here. This is what is happening. Yeah. Go. Yeah. And I'll tell you if you cannot do what you're doing. Yeah. But it's very different to D&D.
One of the
no, that's fine. Go ahead. I distract you all the time, so go for it.
One of the most interesting points that got raised was that at their event in July or whenever it is, there is going to be a licensed tavern run by one of the players.
Everybody was very excited about
that. Which I thought was very interesting.
Having said that, now that we've brought that up, they are having a big event in July. Yes. I'd be interested in going. I'd give it a hurley bell.
Well, what's putting me off is that it's the middle of July. Mm-hmm. It's down south.
It's going to be cold.
It's camping. Freeze your nuts off.
Is that the only reservation that you have, though?
Oh, I have other reservations.
Because you don't want to be that nerd who does LARPing?
No, not so much that. Just, like, I have so many other hobbies and things. And I know you're going to say, bad time management.
No. It's just that you always say that you have all these hobbies and stuff. And then I'm like, what are these hobbies, Russell? And you never tell me what they are.
You never asked me that.
I've asked you before. I've asked, like, what's keeping you so busy? And you're like, just stuff.
Okay, well, we'll go through it after the podcast.
Sure. Anyway, not important. I would be interested in going down and giving it a go, even if I wasn't, like, fully committed to the... Even just as a spectator or somebody who, like, hangs out in town and doesn't participate in the combat. Or
I wonder if they have spectators.
Yeah, they have NPCs in the town and stuff, and I'm sure you could just be one of them.
No, I think NPCs are, like, involved in driving the plot forward.
Not necessarily. They've got to have, like, background extras. And they're not just going to be like, you can't come unless you fight.
This
is not the Fight Club.
Yeah. You have to fight.
The first rule of LARP is don't tell people at work because they'll make fun of you.
Yeah.
Second rule is... no, seriously, don't do it. They'll make fun. So, we can't really... We discussed this earlier. We can't really review LARPing. Because
we have no point of comparison.
No point of comparison. Well, why don't you tell me what you thought?
It was definitely the best LARP training I've ever been to.
100% the best LARP training I've ever been to.
And without...
No, actually, I can't even say that because I've done live action role playing other times. But it was a lot of fun.
Without putting a score on it, I will say that everybody I met was very nice and
Except for that guy with the fucking cannon.
He was nice to me.
He got up in my... man, I think we just got off on the wrong foot.
Yeah, I think so.
Just guy...
You just rub people the wrong way.
No, I'm very...
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, no. I'm usually so charming. Yes, everybody was quite nice. I was... No. I thought I was going somewhere, and then I just had a brain freeze, and now I don't know where I was going with that. No, everybody was quite nice. Especially the girl who I accidentally hit in the face. She forgave me almost immediately.
Almost immediately.
Almost.
There was a brief moment of...
She was like, don't hit people in the face. You hit me in the nose ring. That really hurt. And I was like, oh, I'm terribly sorry. She's like, don't worry about it.
Well, I believe I fought her immediately after you, and she was in a fine mood, so...
I was just very... Like, there was this point where she came up and she was like, oh, I'll help you out. Very nice of her.
And you hit her in the face.
And I hit her in the face. No, and then I just had this weird moment where I had the sword in my hand and the guy was like, okay, go. And I was like, I can't hit a girl.
Now you gotta get over that.
I was like, it's obviously nonsense and it's not a thought that should have entered my head. But I was just like, holy sword, I was like, I don't want to hurt her.
When the zombies come, man, you can't have thoughts like that.
I mean, yeah, obviously this is like something personal I have to deal with.
Yeah.
But then I like got swapped over with Kerry, and I've known Kerry for fucking years. So I was like, yeah, I'll fucking hit Kerry. And I just beat the shit out of it with a sword. Anyway, yes. I would be interested, even if I don't know if I have the time to fully join in and participate. I've got a lot of other stuff going on. I'd be interested in going again.
Yeah.
What about you? Would you even if you wouldn't go to the actual event, would you ever consider joining in again?
If time and money were no object, yes. But I would also take up the saxophone, so...
Sorry? If you time and money were no object, you'd take up the saxophone?
Yeah, I'd love to be able to play saxophone.
Do you just want to be Bill Clinton? Is that what this is?
No.
He's the only famous saxophonist that I'm aware of.
Although he is left-handed.
There you go.
So he's pretty cool.
Yeah, you are also left-handed. Of the devil, as some would say.
Well, yeah, like... Middle Ages Catholics.
Oh, it does annoy me every now and then that you're left-handed.
Really?
Because I'll be sitting on your left and we'll both be trying to do something. We'll just like bump elbows and stuff. I'm like, oh, Russell, with your fucking left hand nonsense.
Not when you're at the shops and you see like, 2-for-1 special on right-handed paintbrushes. Ah.
Oh, no. Anyway, I'm sure that's never happened to you.
No.
Right-handed paintbrushes. Yeah. So, we can't rate it because no point of comparison.
Well, we can give it a thumbs up.
Solid, crisp thumbs up.
Yeah, if you want to put it like that. I'm
just a fan of saying a crisp thumbs up.
You're just a fan of crisp.
I'm a fan of crisps.
Well, yeah, me too.
Okay, have you got anything else before we wrap this up?
Just quickly, book club next week.
I will have to buy and read that book. I keep forgetting to do so. I mean, I can put a book away in a week.
Well, yeah, it's like not long.
Have you read it?
Over halfway.
You've had way longer than I have.
I've had exactly the same length of time as you. You've just neglected.
I have neglected. I've forgotten the name of the book, to be honest, Russell. Yes,
it
we
was
will.
Snow Crash by Neil
No. I'm
Stevens.
not going to be fooled with that. That ridiculously stupid movie. Even if it's got Captain America in it. Chris Evans? Is that his name? Captain America?
Don't know what you're talking about.
Captain America. The guy who plays Captain America.
Chris Evans.
Yeah, he's in Snow Crash.
What?
He's not in Snow Crash. I'm thinking of Snowpiercer. Never mind. That made sense in my head. That must have been a very odd conversation point for you. I was like, Captain America.
When I made that joke about denial the other day.
Yes,
and
you
it
made
only
an
made
awful
sense
joke.
after you went through a series of connections in my brain.
Well, we're not going down that fucking path.
No, we're wrapping up the podcast.
We're wrapping up the podcast. If you've enjoyed the podcast, you can go to our website at popculturepon.weebly.com, and that will have a blog post listing all the things that we've talked about, and usually hilarious links. Like Kerry talked about a flintlock rubber band gun, and then you sent me a video of this Gatling rubber band gun.
And she also talked about how you have 3 hit points in LARP combat, and I linked to the Black Knight fight from Monty Python.
Although, to be fair, he loses 4 limbs.
Well, yeah, but then he's dead.
That's true. Anyway, and you can email us at popculturepon. That's a weird way of saying it. Yeah, popculturepon@gmail.com. That was a real tongue twister.
You can find us Twitter on popculturepon app.
I feel you're subtly mocking me here, Russell.
I don't think it was that subtle. Our Facebook is facebook.com/popculturepon. And you can find us on YouTube by searching for Popculture Pond.
Yes. One day I will get a personalized YouTube address.
Yeah, please subscribe.
And Kerry gave us a lot of sass last week because she was like, I've got a personalized YouTube address.
Yeah, but she's got hundreds of subscribers.
Blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure I haven't got all that nonsense. She's got like over 100 subscribers. Yeah. So, Kerry, get off my case.
Yeah.
One day I'll get there. You can go to our YouTube account and you can watch the Let's Plays and spoiler casts and podcasts that are published there and all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
And if you've enjoyed this, feel free to come back next week for another episode of Popculture Pontification.
And for a spoiler special on X-Men.
Yes, which will probably be released on the following Thursday.
Yeah.
2 days. Yeah, 2 days from now. 2 days from when this is released.
Not 2 days from now.
Well, I'm talking to them, not you. Because this will be released on Tuesday, and the spoiler cast will be released on Thursday.
Yeah.
Do you know this?
Right, yeah.
This isn't live, Russell. This isn't a live release.
You mean that there's a delay?
There is a delay. There's a delay in broadcast. Do I need to do like that thing at the beginning of all these TV shows where it's like, this is not a filmed in front of a live studio audience?
Yeah, that would help. No, I'll go home and look at my timeline and then it'll make sense.
It is getting to the point where I need to have a calendar to like plot when I need to release things and what I need to do in regards to
It's a bit terrifying. Every morning it's like Popculture Pond has posted this video. And then a few minutes later, Alan liked your video.